For the untouchable, true school sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The untouchable, true school sports empire, and y'all know the rest. Now listen, man, I gotta come on here and give my little 2 cents on this because it's starting to look like more of a reality that in 2025 we are gonna get Terrence Crawford versus Canelo. We are gonna get Canelo versus Terrence Crawford, a massive event for boxing, and a fight that I feel is the biggest fight in boxing, a fight that has a lot of crossover appeal, right? And a lot of people are going to be tuned in for this. I think this is a fight that will do upwards of 900,000 to 1 million pay-per-view buys. I think this is that kind of a fight, you know? So let's talk about it. Both Crawford and Canelo were in London for the Ring Magazine Awards. They both took separate pictures with Turki Alalshikh. So, you know, it's not surprising to see Terrence Crawford with Turki because they work together. But what makes it feel like it's going to happen really, really soon is the fact that Canelo was there with Turki, you know, smiling cheek to cheek. And, you know, I think it does happen. You know, I don't know if it'll be in May. I don't know if it'll be in September, but I definitely believe that Canelo versus Crawford is going to be this calendar year. And then when you think about it, right, Canelo Alvarez is going to be, he's rumored, it's been rumored that he could be fighting William Sco next, who holds the IBF title, which Canelo vacated, right? So if he fights William Sco in a fight where he'll be a heavy favorite and beats him, then Canelo Alvarez will become a 2-time undisputed champion, and then a Canelo Crawford fight becomes, you know, a matchup where it'll be for undisputed at 168, and it'll give Terrence Crawford the opportunity to not just beat Canelo, but potentially become a 3-time undisputed world champion, which I think is gonna add to his legend if he can accomplish it. So let's talk about this, man. Let's try to dissect this, because if you guys have been following me for the last year or so, I've been really frustrated with Crawford's career. I think, like, more than ever, he's rested on his laurels, and he's been wanting this fight with Canelo so much so to the point where he doesn't want to fight nobody at 154. He don't want to fight. He wasn't really talking about Tim Tszyu. He was not really talking about Bakram. He's not talking about, you know, fighting the guys like Virgil Ortiz. He's not, you know, trying to fight really any of the top names at 154. And it's a shame, because I think there's a lot of good fights from 154, even from other fighters that I didn't just name. And you could say that some of those guys like ducked him. Like, I know people will say, well, True School, you didn't know that Crawford ducked Virgil at 147? No, I know that Virgil could have fought Crawford at 47. Rick Morrigan didn't want Virgil to fight Crawford at 147, so it is what it is. But it doesn't mean they couldn't have fought at 154. But, you know, look, I've had a lot to say about Crawford. And he had some choice words for people like me who are doubting him, and I'm gonna continue doubting him. I'm doubting Terrence Crawford. Like, at what is he, 37-ish, 37, 36? I doubt that his legs will be fit enough to box a disciplined 12 rounds against Canelo. And everyone keeps talking about how he's gonna knock out Canelo Alvarez. He's not. Listen, guys, even if he were to beat Canelo Alvarez, he's not knocking him out. I mean, Golovkin could have knocked out Canelo. Canelo's fought some big punchers, and you guys know, like, I've always argued with Canelo Alvarez fanboys over the years about just how good he is. One of the things, Canelo does lack some things. He lacks quite a few things in his skill set, but one of the things he's never lacked is a chin. One thing that's never been called into question is his durability, and so I don't think Terrence Crawford's gonna knock him out. Could Terrence outpoint him? Possibly, if his legs are strong enough, but you know, it's listen, I don't think he'll beat Canelo, right? It's up to Crawford to prove people like myself wrong. And yeah, I mean, the great thing about Terrence Crawford, if he does fight Canelo, is that he gets a chance to prove a lot of people wrong. And I think while he's accomplished a lot in his career, you know, this might give him, this might be killing two birds with one stone. It will give him legacy to fight for, because, you know, I think if you were to ask most boxing fans in the post Mayweather, in the post Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao era of boxing, who have been the best fighters of the sport, most people probably tell you Canelo or Terrence Crawford, you know, and maybe they'll tell you Usyk, maybe they'll tell you in a way. But if we're just talking about North America, who's been, you know, Mexico, in the USA, the two best fighters have been, for the most part, Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. No doubt about it, you know? And so, like my good buddy Sean Tatel says, this fight, it's not just for legacy, but in some ways, you could say it's to determine whose era it is, because some people say it's the Canelo era, some people say it's the Crawford era. I think if whoever wins this fight, it's their era, right? And they can call it as such. So that's the intrigue of it all. If you look at the past in boxing, if you look at like the big fights that have done big gates and made a big dent in history, especially in America, or between North American fighters, Mexico and the USA, USA and Mexico, when you get a black American fighter versus a Mexican, I mean, high level, you know, top guys, those always make for big pay-per-views. Look at like Pernell Whitaker versus Julio Cesar Chavez. Look at Pernell Whitaker versus De La Hoya. Look at Mayweather and the fights against Canelo and De La Hoya and things like that. You know, and vice versa. You know, history's shown us that those ethnic groups, when they have two elite fighters fighting on pay-per-view, they do well. So I think that trend will continue here. I think this fight's gonna really mean a lot in America. Now, whether or not it happens in America, I severely doubt that this happens in the USA. I think if Turkey is going to make a Canelo Alvarez-Crawford fight, then it's gonna be in Saudi, because again, you must remember that, and he said it himself, the main agenda of all this Riyadh season stuff in Saudi is for Turkey to advertise his country, to put on events that draw eyeballs and change the perception of what is going on in Saudi, to entice foreigners from the West to spend their travel dollars in Saudi, because they're trying to revamp their economy. And when Turkey got into boxing, he got into boxing to make events like this happen in Saudi. So I'm really intrigued to see, like, okay, Canelo Alvarez has always had great support in the USA, you know, on the West Coast, fighting in Vegas, you know, in big venues, fighting in Texas in big venues, with support from a lot of Mexicans and Mexican Americans. Is Canelo going to give that up to fight in Saudi? And then even Crawford, like Crawford has never fought in Saudi either, even though he's a Turkey fighter, he's never fought in Saudi. So the way I see it is, I'm really intrigued to see if Canelo Alvarez if he's gonna work at Turkey, will he fully kiss the ring and fight in Saudi? That's actually the intrigue of this to me, because my thing is this: if Turkey can get Canelo to fight in Saudi Arabia, then I think that changes the whole dynamic of boxing. I think like now, Riyadh season, Saudi Arabia, it's already got a big foothold in the market. But if you get a guy like Canelo Alvarez to go fight there, there's been talks about the monster Naya Inoue fighting in Turkey. Then all of a sudden now you got to look at Saudi Arabia as the place for big time boxing, because all the big time stars are starting to fight there. So that's another storyline going into this. But yeah, both Canelo and Crawford have been in Saudi with Turkey. Now, you know, listen, if the fight happens, best of luck to both men. I hope Terrence Crawford goes in there and gives the best performance of his career and can prove me wrong, you know, honestly, because I don't think that his reflexes and his speed are going to be to where they need to be. His reflexes, his speed, and his legs, those three things, I don't think those three things are going to be where they need to be for 12 rounds long enough to beat a really smart counterpuncher like Canelo Alvarez, who's fighting at his, a weight class he's been at for a while. You know, but if he can do it, if Terrence Crawford can do it, then I would classify it as an all-time great win. It's not like Canelo Alvarez doesn't have his flaws. It's just that you're asking a lot for Terrence Crawford at 37 years old. So we'll see how it goes. You know, this is what legends made of, I guess, right? So make of that what you will. You know, leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you click right over here.